Lillian, can you hear me?
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Hello?
You're late.
I know, I'm so sorry.
It's unacceptable.
I know, I'm sorry. I thought I had
It's
left enough.
disrespectful to the caregiver and more importantly to the client.
I thought I left with enough time, but it's only my second day on the Cape.
What does that have to do with anything?
You guys only have like one road that goes anywhere out here. Sorry.
I would advise you to plan better next time. It is very disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
We could have lost this client. From now on, I need you to plan better in the future.
I will. I don't mean to be rude, but isn't this conversation just making me even more late?
Call me as soon as the session is over. I want to review your notes with you.
Right, I will.
And plan better next
I will.
time.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't know where the hell she is. She was supposed to be here 15 minutes ago. No, I can't just leave. Because it's her first session, the consultation, I'm supposed to meet her. There is nobody else. It's just me and Danny here. No, that's not his job. No, Oracle just have to understand. I've been with him 10 years now. It's not every month your mother gets moved to hospice. Well, why don't you try to pick up a few more hours? No, do not use him. No. We're just gonna have to make it work.
So obviously try to avoid touching, if at all possible. Unless she initiates, even then, make sure it's gentle.
Right, obviously.
Okay, no sudden loud noises. If anything comes up, I'll be in the other room, so just holler for me. Don't holler for me, but just call me.
Got it. I don't think I got your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Danny.
I'm Eva with Neuromelody.
Yes, the music therapist. Lillian has been talking about this all week.
Great. So can I meet her?
No, not like that.
What do you mean?
Just, here, put your bags down and follow me.
I'm already
Just
late.
follow me. Okay? Take a deep breath, bring your arms to the sky, and let them fall as you exhale. This time, when you bring your arms down, really let them shake your breath out.
I'm sorry. What are you doing?
I'm trying to relax.
It's not working.
All right, you can't go in there like you are, all right? This is hospice care. Stress is contagious. It's fatal.
Oh, okay.
All right, just take a second, compose yourself.
Oh, I get it. It's just, I'm already late and it's...
No, don't worry about that. Lillian won't mind. It's not the timing so much as just getting it right. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
No, I am not going to have this fight with you again. Look, I have to go. She just got here. Yeah, we'll talk later. You're late.
I know, I'm so
It's fine,
sorry.
but I'm late for work. I'll have to leave you. Mom! The girl from Neuromelody's here!
What?
The girl's here!
You don't have to yell at me.
Well, you don't hear me when I don't.
I'm sorry. I was sleeping.
It's okay, Mom.
When I was your age, I used to say I would sleep when I was dead. Now I can't seem to do anything but. The irony's not lost on me.
Don't be morbid.
I'm sorry to upset your sensibilities, Annie.
Don't start with me, Mom. I don't have the time.
Are you late again?
Yes, and I should be back sometime between 6 and 8, depending on bridge traffic. Dan will make sure you have dinner, and I'll listen to him.
Drive safe.
Now, you should have my cell if anything should come up, and Danny.
Yes, we're all set.
Great. Could you try to see if you can get her to sleep before you go?
Well, that's not
She
really...
really doesn't looking forward to this. I think she needs something to help her relax.
Right,
Oh shit, I have to go. Don't be late.
right, I'm sorry, I thought I left time. You must be Lillian.
What gave it away?
The bed?
Danny, I think we need a broken.
Right. I'm gonna leave you two to it then. Good start.
Hi, I'm Eva.
Lillian,
Sorry I'm late. There was
Oh.
traffic.
don't worry about it. You get here when you get here. There's no accounting for summer traffic. Besides, there's only one road that gets you anywhere around here.
Yes, thank you.
Why don't you grab a chair or something? I mean, you look like you've come to pay your respects. I'm not even in the box yet. I hope you don't mind my being morbid. It's a coping mechanism, I realize. It's just, at my age, I feel like I've earned it.
I have no problem with it. I'm just still new to it all.
Don't tell me it's your first day.
No, just my first hospice case.
Well, how's it going so far?
You'd have to tell me.
Did they tell you what I have?
They did.
And you don't want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really, no.
Then it doesn't concern me.
Well, that's the first thing you said I liked.
So your daughter,
Annie, but call her Ann or she won't like you very much.
oh, I don't think she likes me very much now.
Oh, don't worry about her. She's all bark. Besides, she's just mad because she hates where she came from. She moved to Boston maybe 10 years ago now. Ever since, it's like she's completely forgotten the finer points of Cape Time.
Well, has Anne explained to you why I'm here today?
Yeah, you're gonna heal me with music, right?
That's not exactly how it works.
I know, I was making a joke. I saw an ad for your company at the hospital. I'm the one who requested the service.
Oh,
Well, Annie's always on my case about keeping up with my physical therapy routines. She thought it was important I keep my body engaged. If I don't have much time left, maybe I should keep my mind engaged too.
I think that's a great perspective to have. Yeah. First and foremost, I want you to know that I'm here for you, and we'll discuss anything you want to, and nothing will leave this room, just like any other therapy session. The main difference is we'll be including some aspects of music into it.
Well, let me ask you this then. The ad, it said, peace through music. I mean, it's pretty, right? But what the hell does it mean?
I think it could mean whatever you want it to mean.
Are you gonna sing to me?
I could. Would you like me to sing to you?
Possibly. We'll have to see how good your voice is. You gonna make me sing?
I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to.
Are you gonna encourage me to?
If the time is right.
I don't sing.
Okay.
I can't sing.
Well, everyone can sing, Lillian.
Not me. Trust me, my kids would have told you.
Well, I won't push you to do anything that you don't want to, but singing can be freeing under the right circumstances. The important thing for you to realize is just that I'm here to help you through the next step, and in order to do that, we'll explore your relationship with music, and how that takes form is really up to you.
My relationship with music?
Yeah.
I think I like that.
Okay. We usually just like to start with a brief overview of your history.
Right, well, what do you want to know?
Anything at all. Is there anything you feel comfortable sharing? Lillian?
Are you from Boston?
I'm sorry?
Boston, you know, the city.
Well, no, yes, of course. I'm just not supposed to.
Well, who's going to turn you in? I'm just asking where you're from.
Michigan, originally, but I studied in Boston.
Oh, what school?
Berkeley.
Ha! How's the debt now?
Enough scholarships make it manage.
It's absurd to me how much it costs these days. When I was your age, I went to Northeastern. It cost me about $500 a semester.
That sounds like a magical fantasy world to me.
I was the first woman in my family to go to college, too.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up in New Hampshire. Well, might as well have been Maine. The borderlands was what they called it. Pretty country, but there wasn't much opportunity for a young girl. Not unless your chief goal in life was finding a husband.
That's very progressive of you.
Oh, I wanted a husband. Should have seen the boys I grew up with. They're bulldogs cuter faces than those men. Listen, if you're gonna get me talking, could you at least play something? All this sharing isn't really my speed.
What would you like to hear?
Anything, just make noise. Much better.
So, why Northeastern?
Well, I figured teaching would be a good way out. You needed schooling for it. I liked to write as a kid, and I loved to read, but I never thought I'd make much of a writer, so I thought I'd try my hand at teaching English. That took me to Northeastern.
Was your family proud?
In their own way, I guess. My mother was, I'm sure of it. My father never really knew what to make of me. Most men in that area back then didn't know what to make of an independent woman.
But you didn't let that stop you.
Well, could I? It was my life, not his. I lived it the way I thought I needed to.
So, what do you remember from Northeastern?
Oh, what a time to be alive.
What year was it?
Early 70s. 71, I think. You'll have to forgive me. They say memory is the second thing to go.
What's the first?
I forget.
That's a bad one.
My husband taught it to me. He had a horrible sense of humor.
Where'd you meet him?
At Northeastern, we were students together. He was in the math ed department, but we had a couple classes overlap. He was cute. He had this infectious smile that makes you want to smile back, even when you hate the reason why he's smiling.
How do you mean?
You want to know what his opening line was to me?
Of course.
We were at a social for the whole education department, a welcome back thing of some kind. We'd seen each other in a class or two, but we hadn't spoken yet. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he walks over and just stands there. And when I ask what he wants, he gives me a joke.
No.
Why was the teacher cross-eyed? Because he couldn't control his pupils.
That is a really bad one.
Telling me. I'm the one who fell for it. Not a day went by I didn't kick myself for falling for such a stupid line. But he was a good man. He supported me. He pushed me, challenged me. Despite my better judgment, he made me laugh.
How long were you married?
A long time. He used to play a song for me,
Oh yeah?
something by the Beatles.
Do you remember which one?
I could never remember the title. He played it for me on our third date. He was terrible at guitar, but he tried his best. I think he thought it was funny.
Was he right?
He wasn't wrong. He played it for me every year, though, on our anniversary. He somehow convinced himself in his head that it was the reason I said yes. Even his last year in the hospital, he made me bring in a stereo so he could sing along to it for me.
Really sweet.
He was a sweet man. And he was an even better father. That's what I'll remember him for.
Well, if you could try to remember the song, I could maybe play it for you.
You could.
I mean, I can't promise that I'll know it, but I could always try.
It was off Rubber Soul. Something like All My Life, I think. You know it.
Yeah. Would you like me to play it for you? There are places I'll remember all my life, but some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone 27th, patient Lillian Hanover, session summary. We began with an introduction to the practice and a discussion of session possibilities. She expressed a desire to not sing. I think she may have had some bad experience in the past.
That's conjecture. Stick with the facts for now.
Right. We discussed her history, primarily her childhood and young adulthood. She reminisced on her college years fondly and on her husband. She spoke a great deal about his sense of humor and his qualities as a father. With some prompting, she remembered a song that he used to play for them on their anniversary, In My Life by the Beatles. I played it for her as well as a few others, and by the end of the session, she remarked that she had become tired, so I left her to sleep and promised to see her again soon.
Good. Make sure you get your entire session list in there somewhere. It will be helpful for the legacy.
Right. Conclusions. Lillian has a stronger connection to music than she knows. It's more than memories she assigns to songs, it's people, the impression of them. She talks about how she can hear her husband in compositions like Oklahoma Hills or City of New Orleans. It'll be important to identify the people in her life so that we can identify their songs.
Okay, so now you're already transitioning?
Right. I always mix that up. Goals. Moving forward, it'll be important to identify those who have made an impact on Lillian so that we can identify the music of her life. Her reluctance to share indicates the possibility of some kind of trauma or repressed ideology. In upcoming sessions, we'll continue to explore these connections in hopes of possibly healing these wounds.
Okay, so stop right there, because there was so much that was problematic with those last few lines.
How so?
Never, under any circumstances, assume a possible trauma. That is a roadmap to nowhere but confusion and harm. Secondly, you need to remove the word heal from your vocabulary for these sessions.
What? Why?
You're in hospice care.
So?
Eva, do I really have to explain to you that people come here to die?
No, but what are we doing if we're not healing? What are we providing for them?
Comfort. It's not unrelated to healing, but they are not the same thing.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it wouldn't, because you're thinking of it in ideological terms. You want the best possible care for your patient. That's good. But you have to recognize the practicalities of your situation.
Well, then explain it to me in practical terms.
Time, Eva. You're setting goals for yourself that require time. In this setting, time is not something that you can count on.
No, I read the transcript. I'm just not sure that there's anything I can do about that right now. Well, why don't you give me a couple days to think it over and I'll get you a solution? Right. No, it's not ideal for me either, but no, I don't know how long. Right. Okay, yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
How is she?
She's pretty good, actually. She's been sleeping since about noon. Vitals are all really strong, though. She's remarkably healthy, considering.
She's dying.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think you needed a reminder.
Why not? She does every chance she gets.
It's normal for the patient to fixate on that.
So that girl, the one from Neuromelody.
Eva?
Yeah. What's your opinion of her?
I'm not sure.
I mean, as a professional, of course.
I think she cares.
Is that all they require these days for this type of work?
No, but it's an important quality, and it's too often overlooked.
What I can understand is the price. Do you know how much these sessions cost?
No.
$150 each for what? Some musician to come play music for my mother? I'm sure it's nice, but there's nothing that she does that an iPod couldn't.
There's more to it than that.
Like what? I asked her what they did the other day, and all she could come up with was a list of songs she played for her. Does that seem worth the cost to you?
I mean, maybe she wouldn't tell you everything.
Well, why wouldn't she? She's my mother.
Because you're her daughter. There are probably aspects to her life that she has never shared with you. It's difficult to start now.
Well, I'm also the one taking care of her. I need to know if she's being honest with me.
death does not preclude a right to privacy.
And it's also not a reason for her to throw her money away.
Alright, look, when I was first getting my license, alright, I worked at this assisted living facility in Yarmouth for a few years. It's a lot like this environment. It's busier and slower because you saw people deteriorate. And when they don't have the right resources around them to help them, it's not pretty. I remember this one elderly gentleman, though, who was a camp survivor from the war. His history file, he told you his story, but he couldn't tell you anything because he couldn't speak. He had aphasia. That's a disorder that affects the language systems in the brain. He couldn't speak, but when his medication was at its peak, he could write in very limited sentences. So, anyway, we have an art therapist on staff, and she realizes that the man has been drawing pictures of this grand piano that we had in the front foyer. Beautiful, never got played, except for when those awful performers would come at the holidays and things. So, she asked, do you know how to play? Do you want to play? And, eventually she gets out of him no, but always want to learn. So she teaches him, nothing more than twinkle, twinkle little stars, stuff like that, but the sheer passion that he played the piano with, the sense of history, it was, nothing more than banging a few keys here and there, and yet...
So you think it made him better?
No, better isn't the right word for it. I don't know how to describe to you the difference that I've seen in people when they remember that they have a soul. It's something that we take for granted too often, and when the end is coming near, it's nice to have a reminder. I should wake up.
Yeah, and I should probably go try to get some work done. Hey, could you let that girl in when she gets here?
Eva. Yeah. Hey there, love. Welcome back to the world of the waking.
I'm still here.
You're still with us.
Help me up. Oh, Danny. My guardian angel.
No, not quite.
Well, you're the closest I got, so joke's on me, I guess, right?
Hey, one of these days you might just wake up and I won't be here anymore.
No, I think it's the other way around. Oh, God. Hurts when I wake, hurts when I sleep. Life is pain.
Anyone who says differently is selling something.
You know it.
Princess Bride was my sick movie as a kid. That and Star Wars.
Sounds about right. You remind me of my boy.
Oh,
He loved those movies growing up, too.
That's it.
I dreamt about him.
Who?
My son. He was singing to me.
That must have been nice.
You don't think it means anything?
I don't think it's my place to tell you what I think.
Come on, Danny, who am I supposed to ask?
Well, I think that you're paying very good money for a very qualified music therapist, right?
Qualified, I think you and I define that word differently.
No, it's... Experience is not necessary to be qualified in this line of work. She has the right attitude.
Which is fantastic, but I can't talk to her. She doesn't know anything about me.
Why don't you tell her?
Come on, Danny, I can't talk to her. I can talk to you.
No, we've talked about this, though.
What am I going to do, sue you?
It's a conflict of interest, Lillian. It's unethical. I'm not trained to assist
I
people
don't
in
care about your
therapy.
training.
I do. And if Anne were to figure out that I was counseling you in any way, Lillian, I am honored to be here to assist you in any way that I can, but there are some elements of this process that I am not what you need.
What time is it?
and it's almost 3.
Good, I can go back to sleep again soon. Danny,
Yeah.
sing me something.
I don't
Come on, I'm not asking you to do anything unethical. Just sing me something.
Oh, the summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Oh, would you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pluck wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Oh, would you go, lassie, go? I will build my love a tower. Hi. Hey.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That's okay. She's ready for you now.
You've got a beautiful voice, Ida, but you're no Danny.
Right. I should go now.
Are you sure you can stay?
No. It is your time.
He's shy. He hates to sing in front of other people, but his voice, there's just something about it. Plus, he knows his Irish lullabies.
Oh, is that what he was singing?
Well, Scottish technically, but written in Ireland, close enough. My mother used to sing that one to me, and her mother before that. I never sang that one to my kids, but there were plenty of others that I carried on.
It sounds like music is a tradition in your family.
Oh, it is? The kids, they used to sing them for a while too.
Really? Huh.
Oh, yeah. Annie's got a beautiful voice, angelic. But Brian's, his was something else entirely.
Your son's name is Brian?
Yeah, yep.
So where's Brian now?
Annie has such a pretty voice. It is so light.
Does she still sing for you?
Not for me. Not anymore. Should we get started?
Yeah. How are you feeling today?
Like a Mack truck hit me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, don't worry about it. Mack truck days are the good days. My illness, I've learned that pain is actually a good thing. It means you're still alive, you're still kicking. It's the days I feel nothing, I start to get a little frightened.
Well, I was thinking that I might play something for you. It might help distract from the pain a little. Would you like that?
That would be lovely.
Great. Is there anything in particular you'd like to hear?
Play the one by Cat Stevens.
I listen to the wind of my soul. Where I'll end up, well, I think only God really knows.
understand it. It wasn't exactly my choice.
So how did you decide?
Well, when we started planning the wedding, we had to make a few bargains. I couldn't exactly trust a man with his sense of humor to make certain decisions. Imagine him choosing the color palette or the floral arrangements. Even the seating chart was a nightmare. His plan was to make some mathematical puzzle out of it. He wanted to list equations on everybody's name cards, and that way they had to solve it to figure out which table was theirs. Exactly. So I made him an agreement. He could choose the song. That was it. He wouldn't question, wouldn't put up a fight, but he had to keep his hands off of everything else.
And so he picked the wind.
I never could understand it. He said, I was the wind. Like that answered all the questions. Anyway, it eventually wore a soft spot into my heart, I guess. It meant something to me, which was probably his plan all along.
Well, I like to think that music is attached to memories. When we hear it affects how we hear it, and it all builds meaning based on our context to it.
How do you mean?
Well, take, for example, the use of lullabies in your family, right? You have a distinct relationship with certain songs because of when and how you first heard it. And because of that, you were then able to provide a similar experience for your children.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Well, we can explore it more if you like.
How so?
We call it a music legacy. It's essentially a compilation of songs that you can capture your experience of life. A kind of life in review through music, if you will.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I might like to try that.
Okay, great. We can start by identifying maybe some of the other lullabies that were prevalent for you, maybe some of the ones you sang for your own children.
Well, there was one I used to sing, but so cliched though. But it's such a beautiful tune when it's sung the right way. Do you know You Are My Sunshine?
Of course. Would you like me to play it for you?
Oh, no, honey, I forgot the folder in here.
Yes, please.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Oh, have you ever seen the seagulls flying o'er the heather? Or the crimson sails of Galway lead the fishermen unfurled? Oh, the world is filled with beauty, and it's gathered all together. Hey, gotta go on there.
Sorry about earlier.
No, don't worry about it. Lillian just likes to hear me sing sometimes.
Yeah, she would not stop raving about your voice.
Yeah, well, she told me why.
No, why?
No, sorry, that's not my place. When she's ready, she'll tell you.
Okay.
You know, I just wanted to say thank you for coming, 'cause I think she's really needed this.
No, she's really a great woman.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Sure.
How long have you been doing this?
Doing what?
Hospice care.
Coming up on 8 years now. Yeah. Why do you ask?
It's just, I mean, obviously I'm a little newer to this.
How are you?
I'm sure Lillian told you. I very foolishly confided in her that it was my first hospice case.
Yeah, that's not the most professional.
Yeah, neither was being late my first day, so.
I guess. Look, the thing is, with this kind of work, there are certain protocols, I mean, that you cannot break. You can't. But there are others that you can be a little more flexible with. It doesn't mean we don't have to provide a certain quality and comfort of care for the patient at all times, but optimal word is care.
Well, see, that's just the thing. I've worked in a bunch of different settings, and I've encountered a lot of different nursing styles, and I just don't know that I've ever met anyone who genuinely cares for their patients the way you do.
I just try to think of it from their perspective. You know, I mean, they are tired. They're scared. Even if they don't necessarily want to show it, they've got so many questions. What comes next? I can't answer them. You know, so the best thing that I can do is just to be there, make them feel comfortable, make them feel okay.
Well, don't you get tired? I mean, don't you get scared?
Yeah, there is nobody in the world who is more afraid of death.
Well, then how do you do it?
When I was 12, my grandmother had a stroke, so she came to live with us. She lived another 3 years, but she never regained full function. She needed full-time care. We couldn't afford a full-time aide. So I spent a lot of my free time with her. You know, I had the doctors when they came teach me how to do simple procedures so I could help out in any way that I could, but you know, mostly I would just talk to her about anything, you know, my day, the weather. She was like this sounding board that couldn't answer back. But she seemed a little less stiff, you know, when I did. So yeah, anyway, so one year in high school, I come home and I sit with her, I give her medications, I check her vitals, and she just starts breathing heavy. And so I position her, sit her up so she can breathe better, but it starts developing into this gasping. And you know, by now I've pushed her life alert bracelet. That's a 12.5-minute response time. So she's fighting like hell just to breathe. And I'm standing there and I'm just watching. There's nothing I can do. So I did the only thing that I could think of. I just reached out and I grabbed her hand. And I could feel her leave her body. It wasn't a sudden process, and it took a good few minutes. But it was like that process of human touch. You know, it gave her a conductor. It evened her out. You know, she stopped flailing. She stopped gasping. She just kind of settled into it. And that was the first time that I had watched somebody die. You know, my first year on the job alone, I watched 72 people pass. It's not always pretty. It's rarely peaceful. But one thing is always true, always, and that is if there is a witness who can provide just some level of comfort, care, it can be a really beautiful thing.
Ellen Warner stopped by the other day. Probably one of those horrid fruit cakes she always used to make. She sat with me for a few hours. It was nice, but she wouldn't stop bringing up the damn fruit cake. I swear she wasn't going to leave until I took a bite. Was. It didn't taste as bad as I remembered. It still had the consistency of a hockey puck. But the taste, it was like this horrible taste you can't help but love just a little bit. Like it's so filled with memories. You just keep going back for every bite. Kept half expecting you and Brian to come running around the corner. You're quiet today.
What would you like me to say?
I don't know. Nothing, I guess. It's just we don't get to spend much time together anymore. not trying to guilt you.
Well, that's what you're doing. Now, I'm sorry I can't just sit here every day and reminisce about Mrs. Warner's cake while we play cards, but someone has to keep the ship afloat.
I'm sorry, Annie. I know this is stressful
No,
for you.
stressful does not mean I'm close to it.
Well, it's not easy for me either.
Well, why don't you try running a law office long distance through this whole process, and then you can come talk to me.
I didn't want this to be difficult for
Then you
you.
should have listened to me 5 years ago. If you had moved off Cape after Dad died,
Oh,
like
so I
asked
would die surrounded by strangers.
well, maybe you could have lived with me and your grandson. How many times have you even come out to visit us?
I'm sorry, Annie. It wasn't you.
No, it was never me.
I loved you just as much.
What did you tell her?
Who?
The girl, the music therapist.
Eva?
Yes.
What does it
Because
matter?
I want to know.
Annie?
No, I asked you a question. I want to know, what have you told her?
About what?
About anything. You, me, us, this family.
That's none of your
Oh,
business.
bullshit. Who else is here, Mom?
Annie.
No, really. Who else is here for you? In the end, it's just me. Maybe that's not the way either of us wanted it, but that's the way it is. And as your only caregiver, I demand to know how and why our dirty laundry is being aired out to complete strangers.
She's a professional.
I don't care. She's a stranger. She doesn't know us.
Annie, there are things in my life, things that have happened to me, things that I've done, things that have defined who I am, and they've become incredibly difficult to live with.
Yeah, I see. Pretty soon, you won't have to live with it. I will.
July 8th. Patient Lillian Hanover. Summary. We briefly discussed her children before she redirected the session. I introduced the concept of the music legacy, to which she seemed particularly open. We then began the life review process by exploring her family's connections to lullabies. I played and explored a few, including You Are My Sunshine, before leaving her to sleep.
Good. Much better. Keep sticking with facts in your session summaries.
Right. Conclusions. Lillian's memories about her wedding song and the tradition of lullabies in her family just continue to illustrate a really meaningful connection to music. Speaking solely in regards to physical and cognitive ability, she seems tired but determined. It is my opinion that she has something she needs to say, something she needs to get out before she passes.
Okay, and what piece of data from your session summary supports this conclusion?
Well, I guess
Nothing?
not.
That's because it's an opinion.
Okay, well, goals. Moving forward, her music legacy should be helpful to identify what exactly Lillian is so particularly connected with. I believe that by exploring this connection between music and memories, we will help Lillian to achieve a more accepted attitude towards passing.
Okay, better. You're still thinking about her treatment with too much of a focus on product, though. Remember that it's not about getting Lillian to a certain point. It's about managing her journey now, in the moment. It's about the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it does.
Good. Other than that, these notes are much better. Keep going with the music legacy. You're on the right track.
Lose the Arlo Guthrie.
Are you sure?
And it's taken up room.
Well, 10 tracks is just a guideline. It's not a hard limit.
No, even still, there's nothing serious about him. If I want a Guthrie, I'll take something from his father. Every time I hear Arlo, all I can think of is that damn Alice's restaurant. Ruined every Thanksgiving I can remember.
Well, yes, but remember, these songs are about capturing the memories of them.
Memories, memories, I know. You sound like a broken record. It's bad music. I'm not letting it define my life.
Fair enough.
Joan Baez is a definite, though.
Oh yeah, big fan?
Are you kidding? There's never a more righteous woman who walked the face of this earth. I don't know if you're a fan or not, but if not, you should be.
Well, no, I grew up listening to her. Hearing my mom play her on the guitar is what made me want to learn.
I knew there was something I liked about her.
So, which Joan buys in particular?
I have to choose?
Well, generally we like to just encourage people to not choose more than one song by the same artist. It's important not to close yourself off to other aspects of your experience.
Well, if I have to choose, There But For Fortune.
Good choice. Yeah.
There but for fortune, go you or I.
Go, Lillian.
Yeah.
So, what else?
Well, I've got to include some Dylan, who's the soundtrack to my life after all. I could choose something typical like The Times They Are A-Changin' or Blowin' in the Wind. But if I'm honest, I've always been sort of partial to subterranean homesick blues. I guess it's the weirdo in me.
I love it.
Blackbird's always a big one for me. Closest to perfect music ever got in my lifetime. Rivaled only by Sound of Silence. Speaking of Simon and Garfunkel, I feel like I need to include Cecilia. Would that be all right?
It's your legacy. We can include whatever you'd like.
See, Cecilia's one I've always loved, but you've got to listen to it right. If you're hearing the tale of a jilted lover, you've got it all wrong.
Really?
Yeah, see, Cecilia is Saint Cecilia, the patron saint of music. The song's not about love, it's about inspiration, it's about the joy and frustration of making music.
I never knew that.
You gotta do your homework. So, how many is that now?
We've got 5 solidified, but we can always pull from previous sessions too.
How do you mean?
Well, Cat Stevens was your wedding song. I imagine you'd want to include that.
Against my better judgment, I suppose I should.
And maybe some of the lullabies?
Well, I ought to include You Are My Sunshine. Are you going to give this to my daughter, though?
I was planning on it, but we don't have to.
No, it's all right. She just might not be very happy.
Why is that?
Well, it was her lullaby.
Oh.
Yeah, she used to love it, but things got complicated.
How do you mean?
She moved away.
When did she move away?
Oh, 10 years ago now, maybe more.
For school?
For life. It's kind of hard to describe the transition, though. When she left, it just felt so permanent. It wasn't like she was heading off for better things. It was like she was running away from something.
Any ideas what?
Yeah, I got a few.
Could we maybe unpack that?
How's your relationship with your mother?
It's good. She's also a musician, very successful, very supportive. I had a few rebellious years, but all in all, it's always been positive.
Annie thinks I stopped loving her.
Why would you say that?
That's an easy question.
I'm sorry.
It's an easy question. The answer doesn't matter. Why does it matter why I said it? It's been said.
Well, why would Annie say that?
To hurt me. Again, too easy.
Well, what do you want me to ask, Lillian?
The hard question, damn it. You're my therapist, aren't you? Ask the hard question.
Okay. Did you?
Did I what?
Stop loving her?
I don't know. I think so, maybe.
Why?
Because love is a tricky thing. It's not just a feeling, it's behavior. It's waking up every morning and making the decision to feel love. Even when things stop feeling okay.
And so things stopped feeling okay?
It's more complicated than
Well,
that.
I'm just trying to
You
understand.
can't. You got kids?
No.
Unconditional love is terrifying. When your child is born, you know you love them more than anything in the whole world, but the problem is it's not a guaranteed two-way street. In fact, the only thing that is guaranteed is you're making yourself vulnerable. Like you're literally volunteering to be hurt. Most of the time, it's nothing you can't shake off. It's things that make you stronger, but every so often, things happen that are so far out of your control, it makes it difficult to keep making that decision every morning.
Are you afraid of being hurt by Anne now?
I don't know.
Well, it's just you're saying that there's things out of your control. Can we unpack that a little bit?
No, I'd rather not.
I'd like to help you, Lillian.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay. We don't have to talk. But I would like to try something if you're okay with it.
What is it?
Well, a German poet once said, "Where words leave off, music begins." I think there's something, there's elements of your life that you're trying to express, but you're having difficulty just figuring out how.
So you think what? I should sing my problems away?
No, but I do have some percussion instruments that maybe we could try.
You've got to be kidding me.
Again, you don't have to do anything you don't want.
I know that. Just what are you looking for me to do?
Just play some music with me.
I can't.
Everyone can, Lillian.
Not me.
You know what my mother used to say? Everyone can make music. It's just a matter of whether anyone else wants to listen.
Trust me, she was dead right on that one. I have no sense of rhythm. I would not know where to start with that thing.
Come on, there's no one here who's going to judge you.
You!
Not a chance, trust me, Lillian.
You really think banging on a tambourine is going to heal me?
I'm not trying to heal you. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to speak. Now, if you would like to take that, that's totally up to you.
What would we even play?
Well, I've got an idea. Here we go. You're gonna love it, I promise.
All right. That one definitely goes in the legacy.
Good choice.
Listen, there's another song I'd love for you to learn.
What is it?
Oh, it's an old folk song. It's a type that has many official titles. Nobody knows who wrote it, when, why. It's a beautiful piece of work.
What's it called?
Well, I've always preferred the unofficial title, Fare Thee Well.
Ah. Sure, I can try to learn it and I'll add it to the list.
Good.
Can I ask
belonged to my son. It was his lullaby.
Oh, it's you.
Hi, yeah, we just finished up in there.
Good, it was a little loud.
Oh, sorry, we try not to limit the patient's volume, but we also try not to be too disruptive.
It's fine, really. And how have the sessions been going?
Really well.
Oh, good. I should hope so, considering what we're paying for them.
Right.
Sorry, that was rude of me.
No, it's okay.
It's just been a very stressful situation.
Sure, I can imagine. If there's anything that I can do.
Has she said anything?
How do you mean?
Anything interesting, noteworthy?
Oh, I can't.
What?
I
I just wonder if she said anything about me.
it's just I can't talk about what gets said in a session. It would be a violation of my patient's trust.
Oh, come on, it's not like you're a real therapist.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I didn't, that was rude. I guess I'm just concerned is all.
I'm sorry.
It's just that I don't know you. We don't know you, and you're dealing with some very personal things with my mother.
Miss Hanover, I can assure you that I'm a professional. Anything that your mother says stays in the safety of that room. There are no nefarious connotations to anything I'm doing with her.
Right. I hope it's not too forward of me to ask, but why are you here?
Well, music therapy sessions have proven to drastically improve end-of-life care.
No, not that. You. Why are you here?
I care about people. I believe everyone has the right to end their life in comfort.
That's it? You don't have a story? Danny has a story.
No, I
You
don't.
see, Danny, I get. He helps people. I mean, really helps them physically, tangibly when they need it. But what you do, I'm sorry, I just don't understand it. I really don't. And you're taking a lot of my mother's money, and I just don't see how it's really helping her.
There is plenty of literature that
I
can
don't care
provide.
about the science. I care about my mother.
As do I. Lillian requested these sessions.
And I said yes. Do you know why? Because I'm a good daughter. I made my own money in life so she could do whatever she wanted to do with hers later. I was a good child and I did what I was supposed to do.
I never thought otherwise. I'm just trying to do my job.
Is that what you call it?
If you would like to switch to a different therapist.
No. She likes you. I don't know why, but like I said, I'm a good daughter. And if she wants to piss away her money on you, whatever makes her happy.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. But if you could just see her in a
No,
session.
don't do that. Don't talk about my mother like you know. You met her a few weeks ago. You are her music therapist. I am her daughter. You don't know her. Not really.
July 16th, patient Lillian Hanover, summary addendum. I had a particularly interesting conversation with Lillian's primary caregiver, her daughter Anne. It was insinuated that I was taking financial advantage of her mother.
Everyone deals with grief differently. It's a trying time, especially for caregivers. There's an overflow of emotions, and sometimes we become necessary targets.
Right, but sometimes I can't help but feel like she's right, at least to a point.
We don't intrude. We only enter spaces in which we are welcomed. As long as your patient wishes to explore a subject, then the perspective of others isn't relevant.
I just can't help but feel like she's waiting for something to come out. Like there's something that she doesn't want spoken. She doesn't want to confront it.
Keep your distance. I'll speak to her.
I'm not looking to cause conflict.
No, but you found it, and it's causing you to lose perspective. Remember where your focus needs to be. You are not their family counselor. You are nobody's psychologist. You are Lillian Hanover's music therapist.
Right.
The patient's care is first. Nothing else. What's next?
Well, Well, we've established her music legacy. Now we explore it, see what we find, and prepare her to pass.
Be careful of setting goals with yes or no answers. Manage, not heal.
Right.
And stay away from the dog.
Danny, help me up. Thank you.
No worries. How's your pain today?
Still plenty strong.
We've got a few moments until Eva will be here.
Good. You know I never trusted these things.
Well, we're keeping your pain managed.
And caused me plenty of side effects. I'd list them for you, but I'd ruin your appetite.
Well, you know, I can get you something if you're having any
No,
trouble.
the last thing I need is another pill. Just my luck to die at the peak of pharmaceutical progress. How much easier things must have been before modern medicine.
Hey, you know, you talk like that, you'll put me out of a job.
There are times I think I would have been better suited for prehistoric times. You know, eaten by a wild animal in a blaze of glory. Doesn't sound so bad compared to this. Danny,
Yeah.
how many dead people have you seen in your life?
Well, I try not to count.
But you do.
All right, like a rough estimate, it well into the triple digits. I've been doing this a long time, Lillian. Let's leave it at that.
So, you've seen a lot of people actually die.
Yes, I've seen people pass. Yes.
You say that like you think they go somewhere.
No, I'm not a religious man. I am far too skeletal for that, but I do believe in something.
I was raised Catholic, didn't stick.
Same. Protestant, but you do this job long enough and you have to believe in something.
Well, can I ask you something?
Sure.
What's it like, the moment of?
Lillian, I don't know if this is really
Danny.
something that should be.
I'm gonna die. I need to know what it's gonna feel like.
Okay. Alright, so you will feel tired. Not exhausted, but just kind of like a heavy weight. I'll be there to manage your pain, so you shouldn't feel anything, but it'll start to become difficult to breathe, and that's how you'll know when it's time. You won't be coughing, no gasping, nothing like that. Just kind of feel like a heaviness, like your muscles are slowing down. It'll become more difficult to speak. You may start to become confused as you lose focus until eventually you just kind of go.
Huh. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I'm gonna take off.
Oh, thanks, Danny.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, is that girl in there?
Eva? Her name is Eva. Yeah. Do you want me to let her know you're here?
No, the opposite, actually. We exchanged some words the other day, and I said some things I shouldn't have. Her supervisor called this one.
Oh,
So embarrassing.
I'm sure it's nothing. People in this business, we have thick skins. You have to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Are you sure you don't want me to let her know you're here?
No, I've said enough already.
Okay.
It's just, I don't get it, is all.
do you mean?
Well, she does. It makes no sense to me. I mean, people are dying, and her solution is to play music for them. It's like she's turning their deaths into a celebration. I mean, shouldn't we be facing death as a loss? Maybe not as a tragedy, but at least with some level of seriousness.
Yeah, but there can be beauty in it too. I mean, there are different ways to look at a passing.
I've seen death too, Dan.
No, and of
Maybe
course.
not the act of it, but what gets them there. I'm sorry, but there's nothing you can ever say that will make me believe that death can be a beautiful thing.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked on everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn?
Bravo.
Whose lullaby is that?
My grandson's. Annie got angry the few times I played it for him. She claimed it wasn't appropriate. Like that matter, hers is about a jilted lover who swears revenge at the end.
What did she like about it?
Oh, who knows? She claimed I was indoctrinating her child. She was the child of flower children, and somehow she ended up thinking pacifist was a dirty word.
What about her son?
Oh, George, he's a good kid. Sweet. A little slow sometimes. Don't tell her I said that.
I never.
She wants him to be smart, and I don't blame her. Her decision is just all wrong. I mean, he'll do something big someday, that much I know, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree,
It'll live its whole life believing it's stupid. So, have you been able to see him?
yeah, a few times. Not as often as I'd like. That's the hardest part, probably, knowing I won't be around to see what he turns out to be. He's got so much life left. He's just getting started.
Does he know?
No, of course not. He's too young to know. It wouldn't do him any good.
Well, if you could tell him one thing, what would it be?
Smile often. The world takes itself too seriously. And love, generously and loudly.
Interesting way to put it.
Annie wouldn't like that either. She's too uptight. She's always yelling at him for being loud. Kids are loud. Let him be loud.
Do you think he's going to be a musician?
Could be someday. Runs in the family well enough if she'd just let him be.
Hey, you've mentioned that your children used to sing for you.
Oh, yes.
Why doesn't Annie sing for you anymore?
It's very complicated.
What about Brian?
Well, Brian, I have some recordings of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, when he was in his early 20s, he moved to New York. He had the vagabond spirit, like his mother. He wanted to try his hand at playing his music professionally.
And how do you do?
Well, it's hard to say, really. He didn't tell me much of it. I think he was afraid of worrying me. I get the sense he played in a lot of public spaces and empty rooms, the artist's life. But he scraped together enough money over the years. He recorded a couple of demos, and he always sent them home to me as quick as he could. He was so proud of them.
Do you still listen to them?
Yeah, when I can, yeah.
What does he sound like?
He's got this soft, warm voice. It makes you feel like home. But when he gets going, when he gets loud, it's got this power. young Lindsay Buckingham.
What kind of music did he play?
Old folk songs mostly. Took after his mother with his musical taste too. I've got some of them around here somewhere.
Yeah, I can get him.
Over in that cabinet. No. That one. Put it in the CD player. This one. Make this one
If I had wings, no one's done. I'd fly the river.
Get out.
Get
Get out now.
I'm not
for
supposed
me. It's
to.
okay. Annie just needs to talk to me. Go.
You have the vaguest idea what I have given up to be here and what I have sacrificed.
I never asked you to do
Bullshit!
that.
What made you think you had the right to play his voice?
This is my house.
He was my brother.
It was my son.
Someone you were.
Don't.
From the day he was born, you filled his head with nonsense. Be an artist, Brian, follow your
Don't
heart.
push
you
me,
threw him
Annie.
back out into the world. What did you really think was going to happen?
Oh, and how's George gonna turn out with you hovering over him like a hawk, sweating and stressing every test?
Excuse
The
me?
pressure you put him under is gonna crush him someday.
Don't tell me how to raise my child.
Don't tell me how to raise mine.
Do you know how difficult it is for me to come here every day?
I know the traffic
You know,
is
it's like that.
difficult.
It's you. Every day I come here and I sit and I watch you sleep non-stop for hours on end. And all I can do is ask myself the same question. How does she do it? How can she sleep knowing what she's done?
Annie, please.
Do not call me that.
What happened to you?
What happened to you? How could you just abandon him?
You think I don't hurt?
Why would I think that? You never showed it. At least Dad had the decency to show
Well,
it.
that's why I couldn't. Somebody had to keep this family together. Somebody had to keep going.
He was dead. You were not supposed to keep going. You were supposed to stop.
Everybody grieves in their own
Well, in
way.
your case, not at all.
That's not fair.
No, you do not get to talk to me about fair. I didn't get to say what happened to mine. I lost my brother. You cannot tell me what is fair.
Jesus, Annie, what do you want me to say? I'm tired.
You're always tired.
What do you want from me?
You know, I've asked myself that same question for a long time now. I'm not quite sure I figured it out yet.
Well, maybe you could let me know when you do. Just a heads up, though. No time like the present.
I think I hate you. But I don't. I don't have enough left in me to hate you.
I'm well aware of your capacity. Trust me, I've watched that well dry up with these eyes.
Whose fault was that?
We all grieve in different ways.
I have been a good daughter. And when I die, my conscience will be clean. Can you say the same?
What do you think?
I think that you have dragged yours along with you like a heavy stone for so long that you would drag it into the ocean with you if you could.
If it makes you feel better.
Am I wrong?
No.
Well, you could have saved us all a lot of trouble and done it sooner, because if I had to choose, I would choose him every time over you.
So would I.
Why didn't you?
I did what I thought was best. I made the decision I made for him. Maybe it was a mistake, but I made it. It's my only wish. You'll never have to know how that felt.
Do you think we're the same? Is that what you think? I am nothing like you, and I have spent every day making sure of that.
We're both mothers. Someday you'll understand that.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'll ever understand you.
Why did you stop singing?
What?
After he died, you stopped singing.
Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to
But
stop.
not give up.
I didn't give up on him.
You forgot him.
Don't.
You wiped him from your
Don't.
memory. You erased him from our
That
lives.
is not true.
Every time you've come to this house ever since, you turn his pictures around. You don't understand me, that's fine, but you baffle me. You've changed who you are to fit your definition of grief.
I did what I had to do to survive. When he died, it was like this great big wound was ripped open in the middle of us, and it's slowly been tearing us apart for almost a decade. Do you even have
Lillian!
Because you killed him!
Annie!
You know, I kept having this thought that's made me feel really guilty for a long time now. But I'm not feeling guilty. Because when you die, my family dies. And I will finally be able to walk away from you and Dad. And I will not waste another single thought on this family. Because I will finally be free.
July 27th, patient Lillian Hannibal. I'm not really sure how to start this week. I wasn't able to complete the session.
You're not supposed to end the session early unless the patient requests it.
No, she did. After her daughter requested it.
What caused it?
I'm not really sure. We played a recording of her son's song.
What was the daughter's reaction like?
Livid.
You want to address her with Lillian.
Well, yeah, if I don't, then who will?
It's a good question, but it's not really the point. You're still chasing catharsis. You can't keep putting the pressure on yourself to ensure that your patient dies without regrets. You're getting a very valuable lesson. Music defines our experiences, our memories. It makes us who we are. And oftentimes, when you utilize it as a therapy method, you run the very real risk of encountering rocky territory.
Right, but that doesn't help me navigate her out of it.
Because that's not your job. Patience. You have to have patience.
But you said that we can't count on time.
You can't. And sometimes you will run out of time. Sometimes they'll want to confront the big questions, and that will be wonderful for you. But the rest of the time, for the sake of your own sanity, you need to remember this. You don't get to choose how people die.
Hey,
Hey,
I'm sorry I'm late. There was traffic.
don't worry about it.
Is Lillian around? Oh, is Anne around? Sorry.
Yeah, she's, forgive me. Anne has been out all day.
Right. Well, how's Lillian?
Tired. It's getting harder for her to stay awake.
Yeah.
She's just running out of time.
That's the name of the game, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
If she happens to, during my session,
Just calm, all right? I'll handle anything that needs to be handled.
right.
Sorry, do you want me to wake her?
Yeah, please.
Hello, it's time for music. Let's play some music. What should we play?
What the hell was that?
It's just a little music intro I thought I'd try. I used to use it with my behaviorally challenged classes.
It was Star Wars.
They really liked Star Wars.
Well, I guess I'll leave you two to...
No, Danny, don't. Stay. Don't leave me with Darth Vader here. She'll be playing Star Wars all afternoon.
No. I think you're in good hands.
How are you feeling, Lillian?
Tired.
So I heard.
Never thought I'd get so weak at the end. You reach the point where you're really not sure why you're still hanging on.
Well, I think we naturally fight to stay active.
Yeah, but is that all life is? A survival instinct?
I think life is what you do with the time that your survival instinct allows you.
Olivia.
How are you doing after last week?
Oh, fine. Annie hates me. So what else is new?
Why does Annie hate you?
That's a hard question.
Those are the ones you told me to ask.
Do you have any siblings, Eva?
No, I'm an only child.
That's a shame. Kids should have siblings. They give them a perspective, a toehold in the world. That's why we had Brian.
Your son.
My husband and I had a little girl, and we knew that what our family was missing was a little boy. My husband used to claim some ridiculous old family ritual did it. I just thought it was fate, God, luck, what have you. We got pregnant with a little boy. From the moment we told Anne, I knew she was going to be the perfect sister.
Was she?
I remember when my own mother died, she was taken by a heart attack. I was racing up to the hospital near my parents in New Hampshire with the two of them in the back seat. When we got there, I was so frantic. I ran inside to find my mother's room as quick as I could. Sitting there with my father, she was still in critical condition. And my father asked, "Where's the kids?" And all of a sudden I realized I'd been so frazzled, I hadn't waited to see if they got out of the car. When I finally found them, they were in the waiting room. Annie had taken Brian to the cafeteria first, bought him ice cream. 12 years old. She was better for Brian than I ever was.
Why would you say that?
Brian had a beautiful voice. He wanted to be a musician. Annie never liked that I encouraged him. She thought I was too sensitive for the lifestyle. Maybe she was right.
What happened to Brian?
Well, he made his dreams come true. When he finished college, he moved to New York. He always wanted to play his music in the big city. And I figured, even if he didn't land on his feet, he'd land somewhere. He was always resilient, even as a kid. So I encouraged him to go. And he did okay for himself, for a while at least.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he made his rent. And whenever we talked, he seemed happy. I never could get over that. He seemed so happy.
But he wasn't?
The first signs were when he stopped calling us often. He used to call us every week, and then it became every 2 weeks and every 3 weeks. Soon we were lucky. We heard from him once a month. And then one day we got a call from his roommate.
What happened, Lynn?
He'd overdosed on sleeping pills. Luckily, his roommate found him in time and got him to the hospital, but the doctors said that from all the evidence they had, it was clearly a suicide attempt. So they told us we had to keep a better watch on him. So we brought him home, kept him close. We saw a few doctors. There was one therapist that wasn't bad, but in the end, all they wanted to do was pump him full of drugs. You know, it was just like this endless list of prescription after prescription. One to calm his anxiety, and another would keep his mood up, and another to deal with the headaches that came on as a side effect, and so on and so on. The goal, I was told, was to even him out, but in reality, it was just like it gutted him. It was like drained him dry. Stopped singing, stopped playing guitar. The good days were the ones you could get him to go outside. It just seemed like the longer he stayed home, the more he sank into himself.
So you let him go back to New York?
Well, he kept begging me to let him go. The only time he seemed happy was when he talked to his friends in the city. I never believed in his medications. He promised to call me every day. His friends were willing to look after him. I figured, what could the harm be? He couldn't be any worse there than he was here. And his father agreed. So I let him go back. He was good for a few weeks. And then one day, I got a call, and instead of him, it was this gravelly-voiced man. He introduced himself as Sergeant Vasquez from the New York City Police Department. I'll never forget the sound of that voice. He went on for whatever with it, trying to find it any way he could to soften the blow, but in the end, it didn't make any difference. He jumped from the George Washington Bridge.
I'm so sorry, Lillian.
There's no word for it in our culture. A parent who outlives their child. When my parents died, I became an orphan. When my husband died, I became a widow. But when Brian died, it's not natural. I learned to live with what I did. It wasn't easy, but I did it.
But not Anne.
Not anyone. When Brian died, so did our family. The music stopped. My husband stopped laughing. My daughter grew cold. And I think I forgot how to love. We lost everything when we lost him.
Does it have to be lost forever, though?
What do you mean?
Do you trust me, Lillian?
Well, as far as I can throw you.
I learned how to play the song.
You did?
Would you like me to play it for you?
What if I can't?
Well, as always, you don't have to do anything you don't want to.
I haven't heard anyone play that song in years.
Well, then do me a favor. And hang on to this. If I had wings like Noah's dove, I'd fly the river to the one I love. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. I had a man who was long and tall, moved his body like a cannonball. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. I remember one evening in the pouring rain, and in my heart was an aching pain. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. So sure as a bird flying high above, life ain't worth living without the one you love. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. Fare thee well, my
else moved like that in years.
That was wonderful, Lillian. You should start a band.
Thank you, Eva, really. Thank you.
No, it was my pleasure.
How are you feeling, though?
I'm all right. I'll be fine. Could you go get me a drink of water?
Of course.
You never told me you could sing like that.
Neither did you.
So, how are you feeling, Lillian? Really?
Terrified.
Of what?
What? What do you think?
Spiders?
You picked a hell of a time to get funny.
No, really. Tell me.
It's not death so much as what I leave behind. I've learned to live with my decisions, and I can die with them. It wasn't easy, but I can do it.
But what about Anne?
Exactly.
You worry about what she'll think of you.
No, I worry if she'll think of me. She's cut so many things out of her life, I'm afraid I'll just be another tumor to excise.
Is it forgiveness you're after?
Not from her. Never forgave myself. How can I hope that she will?
But you want her to remember you.
I want her to remember herself. Remember where she came from, not be ashamed of it. It's who she is.
But how do you want her to remember you?
I don't care. I'd settle for her hating my guts as long as she thinks of me.
No, but you can care. How would you want her to remember you?
I remember my own mother's funeral service so vividly. Because there in that service, I discovered who my mother really was. I sat there listening to story after story about her. Little tricks she played. You know, acts of kindness, acts of humor, acts of love. And no matter how many turns the stories took, it always sounded the same in the end. She was a hell of a woman. I liked that. It was simple and honest. If I could be remembered any way, it would be that. She was a hell of a woman.
I think that's a beautiful idea, Lillian.
Eva, you have the rest of your life ahead of you. Remember that.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what do you want to play next?
Actually, I'm feeling kind of tired right now. I think I'd like to go back to sleep. If that would be okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be back on Thursday at the same time. So if there's anything you need from me between then now and then, just let me know.
Actually, there's a song I'd love for you to add to the list.
Sure.
You ever listen to Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah.
There's this song off their album Rumors called Songbird. Christine McVie sings her heart out. It's beautiful beyond compare.
I would be more than happy to learn it for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I will see you all later then.
Take care.
Ian? It's getting kind of hard to breathe. Would you call Annie, please?
Of course.
August 5th, patient Lillian Hanover. Summary. We had a fantastic session today.
I'm here. What's going on? What's wrong?
Listen, it's time.
We confronted a major obstacle that Lillian had been facing.
What are you talking about? Time for what?
And it's time. She's going.
We played a song which she strongly connected to memories of her son, and she actively participated.
But that's not right. That can't be. She was fine yesterday.
Prognoses change quickly in this environment. It's not uncommon for it to happen suddenly.
She expressed some concerns about dying, and so we began to develop a strategy to help her confront these fears.
I don't understand.
She's sleeping now. I can wake her. I just don't know how long she'll have.
She seems more active and alive than ever.
It's not fair. It's too soon.
I'm sorry, and really, I am, but right now you're going to have what are going to be your final moments with your mother, and not everybody is lucky enough to get that.
It is my belief that if we continue with this life review process, we can begin to heal some of the wounds in this family.
What am I supposed to say to her?
That's your decision.
Fractures that have run deeper than any of them realized.
Look, I can't give you answers. What I can tell you is that time is a very real thing for you right now. You will regret it forever if you waste it.
Time has been an enemy of this family for far too long. It is scarred wounds that they've inflicted on one another.
I don't know if I can.
I'm trying to tell you that you have to.
And say what? I know we've hated each other for the past 10 years, but let's forget that while we say goodbye.
With the right tools and the right engagement, I think we can give them tools for reconciliation.
What is the alternative? Do you want to spend the rest of your life wondering what your mother's final words to you would have been?
No, but
What other choice do you have?
I don't know.
I have big plans moving forward.
Annie. Annie.
Yeah, I'm here, Mom.
Annie. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Mom.
Where's your father? Where's Brian? Brian, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, we're all here.
Lillian, do you know where you are?
Yes, there you are. My boy. I'm home.
Lillian, who's with you now?
My sunshine. Annie. I know she hates me.
No, Mom, I don't hate you. The other day I said some things I shouldn't have, things like that I didn't even mean.
It's okay.
It's not okay.
No, it is. It has to be. Life goes on with or without me. Days will come when she hates me. Days will come when she won't. She's been a wonderful daughter. A wonderful sibling. And she'll be a wonderful mother. It's...
Mom, I don't understand you. What is she saying?
I don't know.
It's...
Lillian, are you still with us?
It's not fair, we're not done yet. Mom?
That's why you live. Because in you, I'll be whatever you want me to be. Annie,
I'm right here, Mom.
where am I?
You're home, you're safe.
Can't. I'm scared.
It's okay.
Annie, sing to me.
Mom.
Annie, sing to me like you did when you were a kid. Where? Annie. Annie!
Lillian, can you hear me?
Hey, Eva, it's Burgess. Listen, give me a call back as soon as you get this. I've just got some news.
so sorry. I should have called sooner.
I'm so sorry for your loss. One of the exercises I did with your mother was the creation of a music legacy. It's a compilation of songs that she felt captured her experience of life. It's customary that we share it with the family after.
You made a mixtape with her.
It's not really a mixtape.
No, I didn't mean to make it sound. Thank you for trying. Not everybody tried with my mother. You were one of the good ones.
Thanks. If you'd allow it, I'd love to attend any services.
Of course, I've already got the details of your agency.
Great. Well, sorry again.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
How would you describe my mother? You know, if you had to.
She was a beautiful woman, a strong woman, one who defined what it meant to be strong for herself, and one who loved her family very much.
That's nice of you to say. I only ask because I've been sitting here for the past 2 days trying to figure out what to say. I'm supposed to deliver the eulogy tomorrow. Sometimes I'm not really sure I ever really knew her.
Well, luckily she left you something.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Most of my memories of her from when I was younger, she was always singing to us. I mean, horribly, I might add, but it's like she never talked. She just sang.
I think she would be okay with that assessment.
Maybe.
Is there anything I can do?
Have you prepared anything for today? I mean, any requests my mother might have?
Yeah, actually she asked that I learn a specific song.
Would you mind playing it for me?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, where should I?
Wherever you'd like is fine.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining, and I feel better when I'm with you. It's alright. I know it's right. To you, I'll give the world. To you, I'll never be cold. 'Cause I feel better when I'm with you. It's alright. I know it's right. And the songbirds are singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. And I wish you all the
August 7th. Patient Lillian Hanover. Final report. On August 5th, Lillian passed. She was a woman who defined herself by the love she gave. And the world was a better place for having her in it. She will live on to her family through her music legacy, and she will be missed.
Nice work. Overall, very well done.
Thanks.
I'm still missing your notes from your final session with her.
Yeah, they were optimistic but foolish. I'm rewriting them. You'll have them by the weekend.
Okay, great. So you've completed your first assignment in hospice. How are you feeling?
I am not really sure how to explain it. Part of me wants to spend the next 3 days crying in bed, and the other part of me is ready to take on the world.
That sounds fairly normal.
Well, I'm ready, though, for what's next.
Tomorrow, take the rest of the day. Reflect on the work that you've done.
But I'm ready for my next assignment now.
I know, but it's important not to rush these things. You need time to contextualize everything, to come to your final conclusions with your patient.
No, I already know what those are.
Oh?
Yeah. Lillian Hanover. She was a hell of a woman.
This is the man behind the story, Justin Gray. I believe the cast is changing out of their makeup and so forth, and they will join us. But we'll go ahead and take any questions. They're quick changes tonight. Yeah. So we'll take any questions from the floor. This is a play that's continuing to evolve, and I know they'd like your feedback.
I'm sorry, I just sat down. Who's the author? Who's the playwright? This is obviously a very personal story.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of inspiration from different sources in my life. If you read my director's note, you'll see probably the prime example was my own grandmother. His name was Lillian. And my mother was her primary caregiver for the last few years of her life. And my mother, who's a wonderful woman, didn't always react in the best ways to the stress that role can kind of put on you. And so I kind of watched for a couple of years as every time I'd come home to visit, I'd go see her and she would just kind of yell at her because she couldn't hear very well. And so there are some lines. I mean, that first line, "You don't hear me when I don't," that was taken right out of my mother's mouth many, many times over and over again. That being said, you know, there's obviously a lot of fictional elements here as well. I sort of pulled a lot of different sort of disparate things from my life, as I like to say, and put them together. We also have one of the town monitors here, Bill Galudo. We've discovered that I have written his life story. He went through a similar experience with his own mother. He has 2 kids named Danny and Brian. Brian plays music. It's kind of surreal, sort of how it just sort of feels like this play kind of like created itself in some ways.
Was music part of your life, or of your family?
A part of my life, yes. Not really a part of my family's life. Well, I made it a part of my family's life. When I was about 10 years old, I was a very angry child, and I told my parents I wanted to play the drums. I don't know why. And then the first time I sat down at a drum set, and I like hit it, and I was like, ooh, I can hit something and make something constructive, like I'm in. And so they were nice enough to buy me a drum set, and then I smashed on it in the basement for the next 10 years that I lived with them. So yeah, I'm a very musical person. I always say I kind of hear the world before I see it. It's sort of where this connection came from. In my family, not so much. Sort of part of the inspiration too was I had been inspired to write this by a woman that I was dating at the time, who I'm no longer dating, was a music therapist. And I kind of learned about the field from her. And then after my grandmother died, I sort of went like, I wonder how much nicer it might have been had she sort of had this. So that was kind of the idea. It was like, let's give this dynamic this kind of beautiful therapy and sort of see what happens. And then, of course, add some fictionalized drama, spice it up a bit.
He expressed about his grandmother when he fell for falling. And that's an experience that I went through exactly my grandmother just went her, and it was a very strong feeling that you could feel. Is that was part of one of your experiences? Are you where you picked that up?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I wish I could say. No, that's not something that I've ever been through. The closest was I was there when I was about 21 and I had to put down my childhood dog. So, on a very different level, but sort of that kind of experience. And I don't know another way to put it other than I seem to be very lucky and that I write things that I think are kind of poetic and then they turn out to be true.
So you weren't there when any of your parents or anybody died?
Nope.
You didn't experience
I was not, no.
But you expressed it so fantastic.
Yeah, again, that's sort of where I say I don't know entirely where this play came from. It kind of worked through me, and I was very lucky to have some amazing people who then took it from me and made it into something really beautiful. So,
I just want to say I volunteered for hospice for 20 years, and it's at home. It was very real, very realistic.
Thank you. Thank you. That means the world to me, because that's, again, not an experience that I have. I'm looking forward to, I believe, tomorrow we have some hospice caregivers coming to do a talk back to hopefully give me more feedback to make it even more true to life. Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Katie. I'm from Boston. I'm a hospice music therapist. And it's the way that you were able to communicate this entire journey. And just the staging, I think what you were mentioning at the very end is Lillian's character walks back. That was so powerful. Just kudos to everyone. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was very realistic for me because my childhood best friend last year was in hospice, and a lot of the things that you talked about were exactly as they happened to her. And I thought, wouldn't it have been wonderful if she had the music to help her through this, but also holding her hand right before the day before she passed. I went to visit her for the last time, and she held my hand, and I finally, she held it so tightly that it was actually hurting me, and I was amazed that she was so strong at that time, but I hated to let go, but I did. But that part of the play was very personal for me.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah?
I just have a question for Danny. Because, did you have to learn a lot of nursing techniques to do this? Because every time you shine that light in her eyes, I'm like, what's he doing? Did he really wake up people like that?
No, you know what? And I really should have probably looked at a better way to wake somebody up. And funny thing is, I'm like, how can I definitely get her awake? I'll just shine a light in her eyes.
It's better than in rehearsals. He'd get bored and would mind punching her.
No, you know what's funny? When I was 18 in my senior year of high school, I actually took a CNA certification course, and I was a certified CNA.
And I think in the past 13 years, that knowledge has completely evaporated. And that was something that kind of killed me, like coming into this, because the process we've only done this over like 2 weeks. And we work every day, 2 jobs, plus, other work at the theater that we do. And just in the amount of time we put it up, I was like, I gotta look this up, and I just never got around to it. So, maybe I'll come up with a little something different next time. I just didn't want to go for like, I'll just adjust the IV drip, because that's not how it works either, so.
Yeah, I was expecting her to bite you one of those times when you go away in the road.
Oh, she's in bed, she's not much of a threat. So. But I'll figure it. I'll keep that in mind.
I have a question for Cathy. What was the experience like for you in this role?
It's very emotional. See? And it's really been, one of the gifts for me in all of this has really been to think about my mortality and have to confront it and think through my relationships with my children. And, so that really has been a gift. And it also is just exhausting, at the end there. Yeah.
When did it come to you to have that juxtaposition at the end, which is just so marvelous, where Rosa is
singing?
No, where Eva is optimistic and hopeful, and death is happening. When did that come to you, and how did that come to you?
That was in the first draft 2 years ago when I was writing it. It was just sort of, I hadn't had a moment of sort of like disconnect of like, I was always separating. There was this sort of world where she's in her conference with Burgess, and then this sort of world back here. And it just sort of felt like the right time, and the idea was, how can I kind of pick up the pace and really sort of set the tone of, we're running out of time. We're really running out of time right now. And then once I kind of had sort of set up that that's what I wanted, it became really clear that this was also an opportunity to really paint her idealism, or for lack of a better word, her naivete. It is her first time, I have had music therapists look at this and probably cringe at times, but you might have as well. And just sort of say like, oh no, she shouldn't do that. And there was some things that I completely cut because I was like, oh yeah, that's very unprofessional. And some things I said, well, it's her first time. Let's give her some room for growth, and let's kind of show, there's that great moment early on when Burgess says you need to remove the word heal from your dictionary. And she really doesn't. Even at the end, she's still saying like heal, heal, heal. And I just wanted to set up that moment. It was really important to me when I called it Songbird, that we end with Songbird, the song. And it really became clear that like this needs to be group therapy. This is a moment where everyone on stage, and I think hopefully if we've done our job right, everyone in the audience too is really just experiencing a moment of music therapy. Let's all just sit and cry for a moment. And let's listen to some beautiful music while we do and just experience our emotions. And it felt like she needed to kind of be a little higher and sort of feel like everything's going to be okay before she comes in. Oh no, let's knock all the wind out of her sails.
And did she rock it at the end or what? All the way through, but this was the first time that she's had that super emotional reaction.
It would happen during rehearsals sometimes, but I would just go to the bathroom and have a water break or something. And yeah, tonight especially it was just really, I think all of us were a lot more emotional. I could just feel it. I don't know if it was all of your energies. I was like, they're probably crying, so I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I was saying after last night's performance, to me, I thought it was the perfect way to describe what I was looking for from the show in that final moment. Because I get to sit up there, and tonight I was operating the lights, and speaking and watching everyone down here. And while she was playing Songbird last night, I saw half the audience doing this, wiping their eyes, and I saw the other half tapping their foot to the music. And I just sort of felt like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. You know, let's feel this emotion together, but let's also be a little uplifted by what music can do for us. Yeah.
Aside from the excellent performances of the 4 individuals next to you, I was really struck by the iconic music that you chose. And I'm wondering from someone in the business, did you have to clear those songs with ASCAP or BMI in order to use them in the performance?
We do have to clear them, yeah. There's different kind of tiers. If you said you're in the business, so you probably know what I'm talking about. There's sort of different tiers of the different rights, depending on you know, like how much of the song you're using. So yeah, we do clear them.
Great songs.
Thank you.
Yeah, they fit perfectly.
Yeah, I mean those were kind of a mix of songs that were picked from my own experience, and then a lot of them were just picked from my talk to music therapist and sort of said, what songs do you get requested the most? And it's very interesting because they'll tell you everything from like Taylor Swift to Simon and Garfunkel. And Lillian didn't feel like a Taylor Swift girl so much, but
Tambourine would have been
yeah.
What's next for the play?
What's next for the play? That's a good question. I don't know yet. The movie.
He's threatening to cast Meryl Streep
Any
instead of me.
producers in the audience, I'm sure he'd love to meet you at.
I would, absolutely. I don't know, and I'm sure something will come along. I mean, we did this, like I said, 2 years ago. We had no idea what was going to be next, and we were a little disappointed that we didn't get much of a crowd in Hyannis. And we just got very lucky in that Todd happened to be one of the 4 people in the house that night. He came up to us and said, you know, hey, when are we going to, what's next? What are we going to do with this? And now it's been a 2-year journey to here. And I don't know where it goes from here. I am a New York resident 10 months out of the year. I teach theater at Brooklyn High School of the Arts. So I will be taking this play back. I sort of feel like it's finally at a place where I'd like to find somewhere in New York that might be willing to host it. And I luckily have Rosa now, who is also a New York resident, who will hopefully help advocate for it. I have to applaud Rosa. She came here, gave up 2 weeks of her time to leave her coffee shop that she owns in Harlem. So if you ever find yourself in New York City, Lennox Coffee Roasters, 129th and Lennox. She'll be behind the bar. You can make her sing for you. And she makes very good coffee. So.
Are you writing something else?
Not at this very moment. No. I'm sure I'll come up with something. In terms of writing, I kind of have sort of 2 different categories that I write with. There's my sort of assignments with the New Classics Company, that's a group that we're part of. If you haven't met John and Max and Becca yet, please do on your way out. They're also company members with us. We do a lot of comedy and improvisational work over in Hyannis. So that I'm usually writing all the time, every year. I'm helping form scripts for that. This, which is more of kind of a personal project, about every 4 or 5 years I come up with something. And this was one I came up with it, like I said, probably 4 years ago. And I sat on it for a year, and I kept thinking about it and coming up with all these different ideas. And then one day it was June, and I had already agreed with my producers at New Classics to produce it in August. And I went, I should write this script. So I sat down, and the whole thing came out in 3 weeks. And then brought it to them and refined it, and now, 2 years later, here we are. So I don't know what's going to be the next thing that's going to kind of light the fire and say, you got to write this. But we'll find out.
Let's thank Justin and his amazing